Hello, welcome. Do not adjust your screen. I am in fact not Dylan, but yes, this is his channel. So welcome to Fun Shots, a series of one-shot and short-run games hosted on a Narcissist's channel. You can check out the channel schedule for a bunch of great upcoming short games. For today, we are playing Bluebeard's Bride, which is a game of feminine horror. So to start it out, we're going to go around and do some quick introductions. You can say you should say who you are, what pronouns you prefer to use, and then also what your favorite haunting, either fictional or historical is. So I'll begin. My name is Janaya, and I use she, her pronouns. And my favorite hauntings are actually the entire package of hauntings in the movie Crimson Peak, because I just think it so perfectly sort of covers the entire spectrum of ghosts that are hostile, ghosts that are helpful, and ghosts that are really just your own projections. That's mine. So next we'll go around to Jess.
Oh, hi. I'm Jess, Echo_JG in most places. Am I saying, sorry, who I am today? She, her pronouns. I'm playing.
We'll do the characters when we get to the wedding.
Then I won't say that. It's a mystery. You have no idea.
It says it under your name in the layout.
Dang it! It's not a surprise then. But I was just going to say, when you asked us that question, my first thought of like what your favorite hauntings are just like the ones you make up when you're a kid and you're like, that house is clearly haunted. You know what I mean? And like just like spooking yourself as a kid and like all the kids psyching each other up and being all like, yeah, that one's, oh, you should go up to the haunted house. Like that's my favorite.
That's awesome. Great. So we'll continue around and go to Megan.
Hello, I am Megan. I use she, her pronouns. My favorite haunting, so I'm like a huge baby when it comes to horror, but I'm like super interested. But I'm from New England where literally everything is haunted. So I think probably like my favorite is there used to be, because it got torn down a few years back, the Norwich State Hospital, which was like 15 minutes from where I grew up, and it was just the most haunted. And in high school we used to like break into it and walk around inside, where there was a lot of like really creepy abandoned medical stuff and just like more ghosts than you could shake a stick at. And I think that might have been the start of when I started being very much afraid of a lot of horror and ghost stuff. But yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, I live in an old military base, and was an old merchant marine hospital that had shut down for like 15 years, and it was just full of graffiti and broken windows. And then they cleaned everything out and turned it into some of the most expensive apartments in San Francisco. And every time I drive past it, I think, man, that place has got to be haunted.
Yeah, they tore it down a few years back, and the casino bought it to like build, I think, a shopping mall, but it's been sitting empty for a few years. It's like just an empty lot full of like mounds of rubble, which is probably haunted rubble.
I'm sure that's fine.
Great.
All right, so moving on to Kirby.
Hi. So I'm Kirby. I don't know if I should admit this, but this is my first time, so I'm excited to be here. And I use she, her pronouns, and I guess I don't have so much a specific place for a haunting, but I do like things like church grims and probably kelpies, which are more like creatures that like haunt places, and I think that's cool, so.
Awesome. Cool. So that is us. So as I mentioned, our game today will be Bluebeard's Bride, which is a powered by the apocalypse game of dark feminine horror by Magpie Games. So this is a form of horror that sort of speaks to the feminine experience, including and dealing with some of the horrors that are part of that experience in real life and historically. So that said, this game comes with an upfront content warning, and I'm going to read it so I don't forget anything. This show features dark themes and will likely include sensitive topics. We will be exploring themes of supernatural horror, body horror, abuse, gaslighting, and violence. Sexual assault is a line on this channel and will not be included in our story. The YouTube video of the show will have content warnings in the description. No one is obligated to watch, certainly not live, and people are welcome to make the decisions that are best for their health. So that is for safety for viewers. For players, we are using a list of lines and veils, and we will also be using the XN and O cards in public or in back channels to make sure that we're all okay while we scare the bejeebers out of each other on this beautiful summer day. And with that, let us begin. The first step in Bluebeard's Bride is to tell the fairy tale of Bluebeard's Bride. Once upon a time, there was a man who was so wealthy that mostly the rumors of his wealth trumped and beat down any rumors of the women who disappeared from his home. Traveling one day through the woods, he came across a farmhouse of not wealthy farmers, and inside he took refuge. Their daughter brought to him tea and cookies and was so gentle and so kind that he was instantly entranced. Over a very short period of time, he courted her and proposed. The family, of course, was ecstatic because this was going to bring them out of poverty, bring them to a place of new safety. And she, of course, was obedient and followed along, marrying this man, even though he had this terrifying bright blue beard, even though people knew he'd been married before, but didn't quite know what had happened to the women who had entered his manor home on the hill. They married in a beautiful, lavish ceremony, and then he took his new bride back to his beautiful, palatial home. She awoke the next morning in an empty bed. Her marriage not consummated. She was both relieved and disappointed. And as she came downstairs, she found her new husband with his bags packed. And he said, "My love, I'm so sorry, but I've been called away and I have to leave you here. But this is your home, and I give to you the keys to the house. Please explore and make yourself at home. But just one thing, the room, the small room at the end of the gallery, that room is mine alone. It is opened by the smallest key, and you must not use that key, and you must not open that room. Promise me." And she, of course, did, and he kissed her on the forehead and left. Well, the young bride explored her home, opened windows, opened doors, discovered all kinds of mysteries and treasures she had never imagined before. But as time went on, she started to think, is this not my house? Is this not all my house? What could my husband possibly be hiding from me? And going back and forth between curiosity, anxiety, and just a feeling of wanting to possess her own home, she eventually gave in and walked to the small door at the end of the gallery. She put in the key, turned the key, and when she opened it, the first thing that hit her was the smell as she opened the door and saw the bodies of every bride that had come before, hung within this room. She quickly closed the door and panicked, not knowing what to do. And just then she heard the front door open and her husband, Bluebeard, come inside. She looked at the keys in her hand, and the smallest key was stained with blood. She quickly tried to scrub the blood off the key, but it would not come off, no matter what she did. She heard him coming up the stairs and ran through the gallery back to the foyer. She tucked the keys inside of her skirts and waited for him. And he said, "My love, I have returned. How have you been?" And she said, "Oh, fine." And Bluebeard smiled and said, where are my keys? And she said, I lost them. And he said, hand me my keys. And she handed the keys to her husband, who looked at the blood spot on the smallest key and said, you disobeyed me. The bride knew that her fate was sealed, but she begged Bluebeard for one chance to please try again, to please be better. And he said, no, once you have betrayed me, it is over. And she asked for a moment to make peace with her end, and he granted it. And she ran to the roof to look out across the empty land around her husband's home. And this is where the tale divides in many different. In some stories, she looks out and she sees her brothers arriving, and they come in and they save her from her own fate. In some, she goes to the room, but her mother appears and protects her. But in most, she looks out across the countryside and sees nothing but the howling wind, and knows that she is truly alone. And she walks down to the smallest room, and she kneels before Bluebeard, and is beheaded and joins the brides before her. The end. So that is the fairy tale of Bluebeard's bride. And it's not clear how our tale will go and where our bride will end up. But what it is clear is that now, sister, it is time for you to be wed. It was just another day when Bluebeard called on your modest house for tea. While mysterious and strange, he was a man of much greater prospects than the men who usually called on you and your sister. Being the youngest, you were a bit lax in getting ready and relaxed in your attitude, perhaps honest in your conversation. Your elder sister, both nervous and terrified of Bluebeard's bright blue beard, was clumsy. It was known that Bluebeard had married before, once or twice, and brought those brides to his fine estate. However, women are, of course, frail creatures, and he was once again widowed and alone. At the end of tea, you and your father, a man made more of hopeful ideas than of financial acumen, retired to the study to chat. You went about your business until your father called you to the study. Bluebeard was gone. Dearest daughter, your father said, Bluebeard has asked for my blessing to call on you with the intent of proposing marriage. I advise you to give him every opportunity. It would ease my heart, child, to know that you were taken care of with so many pounds of wealth per year. But also, our family has fallen on hard times, and this connection would most certainly save us from the poorhouse. After a short courtship, Bluebeard proposed. And you, of course, lucky girl that you are, accepted such a fortuitous offer. And now it is time for the wedding preparation, in which we learn more about the sisters that make up our bride. So players, if you can open your playbook, we'll start by going around and saying which archetype you're playing and reading the little description quote next to the archetype name. So if you've never played or watched Bluebeard's Bride before, all of the characters are playing a component of a single bride. And the components are based on different archetypes. So going around, Kirby, let's start with you.
Okay. I'll be playing the Virgin. You see beauty where there is none. Others seek comfort in your warmth and delight in your obedience.
Fantastic. Megan, want to go next?
I am playing the Animus. You hold on to righteousness with both hands. Others admire your strength and bow to your will.
Very good. And Jess.
I am the witch. So you braid magic from shadow and blood. Others desire a taste of your sin and pray for your undoing.
Very good. All right. So now that we've selected our characters, we're going to go around and answer some questions, and those are going to help us know who our bride is and a little bit more about your particular aspect. So let's begin with the animus. Animus, what are the bride's hands like?
Her hands are, they're very light. She has very long fingers, very delicate hands, but they are somewhat calloused, and you can see like small scars on them from just living on a farm and tending to plants and things like that. So you can tell that she's probably met her fair share of thorns and done her share of work. So while they're delicate, they show a lot of signs of a life of labor.
And what weakness do you give away when others hold your hand?
I think it's that I need more than I let on, trying to act very independent and aloof. But when somebody holds my hand, I hold very firmly and very strong, as if it's very grounding.
Very good, Animus. Next, we'll turn to the Virgin. What do the bride's eyes look like?
The bride's eyes are unassuming brown that crinkle when she laughs, and I think they're amber in the sunlight.
Wonderful. And how do others know you want them when they gaze into your eyes?
I think they see an intensity there that normally is not there. There is a curiosity there, a desire to know more, but something holds back.
All right. And the witch. What is the bride's hair like?
I think it is sort of auburn. It's sort of dusky and sort of brown and red at the same time, like rich clay soil almost. And it's long, but not necessarily as long as some people keep their hair in the time. It's a little shorter than that, and straight and just a little more frizzy than we would like.
And how do others like you to wear your hair?
I think others want her to sort of like clean it up and maintain it and have it down all like perfect and spend all this time and effort on it. And I think she likes to maybe like tie it back because, like the Animus said, we like to like garden, we like to do things. And so just for practicality's sake, anytime we're doing stuff, we just, without even thinking about it, we put our hair back. And other people are like, oh, but you'd be so pretty if you like let your hair down.
I recognize those feelings. Okay, so now let's see. I'm going to try and go around. We're going to start with we'll start with the Virgin this time. Tell me, what are you leaving from your provincial life to become Bluebeard's bride?
Familiarity an understanding of the rules and what's expected of me.
How do you think that the rules will be different now that you're leaving?
There's going to be a pressure, I think, to behave more in a specific way because he is from a wealthy society and the standards there are going to be different. There's going to be more of a scrutiny of my actions and how I present myself.
All right. And Animus, what are you leaving behind from your provincial life to become Bluebeard's bride?
Siblings. My sisters and a brother who I'm very close with. So I'm scared to be apart from them.
Do you make any plans to stay in touch when you leave?
Yes, but I think it's understood in a way that when you're like, oh, well, we'll see each other, we can see each other anytime, and it's kind of understood. It's like, no, there's probably not going to be a lot of time where that's possible. So I think they make plans saying that we're going to see each other again, knowing that it probably isn't going to happen either as often as we want or at all.
All right. And Witch, what are you leaving behind from your provincial life to become Bluebeard's bride?
I think we're leaving behind like a secret hidden place of our own that we had that we could like that we kind of would sneak away to when we needed to be separate from everyone else. I think like a little ways away from our family home, we have this like little nook we go and hide in and like maybe do some rituals and things, but just our own private place that's ours. We're going into a place that's someone else's.
All right. Perfect. So, moving back to the Animus, when you first met, what loving gesture did Bluebeard make that won you over?
He showed an interest. I think when we first met, we were out in the garden, and we were tending to some of our rose bushes and flowers, and he came over and was very interested in what kinds of plants they were and how we care for them, and just showed a genuine interest in something that's rather mundane for a man of his station, and that stuck with us.
And Virgin, when you first met, what loving gesture did Bluebeard make that won you over?
Well, the Animus took what I was going to say, so I had to think of something else right now. I think he took time to play with my siblings. He showed an interest in my family. And that impressed me that he could get them to open up to him so quickly.
All right. And Witch, when you first met, what loving gesture did Bluebeard make that won you over?
I think sort of playing off what the Virgin said, and how Animus said that we have siblings that we love dearly. I think that, like in the story, there was perhaps one of our siblings, one of our sisters, was technically a better match, but Bluebeard saw something special and unique in us, and voiced that they saw that he saw that sort of something special, that certain spark.
Yeah.
And I was impressed that he noticed that.
Wonderful. All right, so starting with the virgin, what gift did you present Bluebeard before the wedding, and why did you choose it?
I presented to him a brooch with a rat skull and 2 dried roses in the eye sockets from the garden. And I chose that because I had witnessed him kill this rat in the garden or whatever. And it's a little bit of a test of my own to see how he would react to that. Because I have heard some of these rumors and I want to know if he regards it as something beautiful or something to be despised.
And how did he react?
Oh, I have to come up with this. Oh,
Well, you don't have to, but do you have an idea of how he reacted?
I kind of want to say that there was a surprise there and maybe a passing interest that got lost as he got caught up in other things.
All right. And the witch, what gift did you present to Bluebeard before the wedding, and why did you choose this?
I honestly was gonna say a brooch. So I think that is hilarious.
Dude's got some bling.
Yeah. But I'm gonna say that I made him like a very special cup of tea, and I put some of our herbs from the garden in it to actually intentionally make it kind of very bitter. And then I waited to see if he would say anything to hurt our feelings, or if he would be honest and upfront and say that this tea was bad.
Oh, and did you know what it was that he reacted with?
Do I think Bluebeard would... I think maybe he didn't react, and now I'm wondering if that's because he genuinely didn't taste it, like if he's a man of a different palate, or if he was trying to be nice, and now I'm like, well, now I'm more confused.
Whoops. And Animus, what gift did you present to Bluebeard before the wedding, and why did you choose this?
So I brought him a bouquet of roses from the prize rose bush as a symbol of knowing that we're leaving our home and we're leaving our garden and everything behind. So I clipped the blooms from the bush as a presentation of this is my old life is behind me and I'm moving forward and giving you what I cared about most.
All right. And I've already lost what order we were going in, but that's okay. Starting with the witch. Do you trust your generous husband, Bluebeard, or do you hold unkind suspicions? And why is that?
I am still unsure because my test did not work. So I still hold reservations, but I don't necessarily hate him as much as I hate some people, because he has shown some competency and some interest and some insight, and I'm still not quite. I'm just kind of out a little bit on him.
All right. And Animus, do you trust your generous husband, Bluebeard, or do you hold unkind suspicions? And why is that?
I do not trust him because in experience coming from a life of hard work and hardships, things that seem too good to be true are often too good to be true.
Mm-hmm.
And Virgin, do you trust your generous husband, Bluebeard, or do you hold unkind suspicions? Why is that?
I would say it's a tentative trust, because even though he's been kind and helpful and courteous so far and beyond generous, there's a feeling that that might change once it's on. That I'll be isolated and he'll be feeding me lies.
All right. So that is the end of our basic questions to sort of flesh that out. But now we need to see how these different sisters relate to one another within our bride. So let's start with the witch. Your sisters are not nearly as important as Power Witch, but blank is a useful tool. Explain how they helped your pursuit of blasphemous craft.
I think the animus is a useful tool because she is hardworking and has shown strength, and she keeps our hands strong, and I trust her to act out when the time is right.
And Virgin, you trust your sisters for the most part, but blank blackens your innocence with her every word. Explain how she became your enemy.
I think I'm gonna go with the witch, because it is clear she is more about power and more about making sacrifices, and it does not matter whether something is beautiful or not. All that matters is the end purpose.
Very good. Animus, you hold yourself apart from your sisters, but blank is the only one who soothes you. Explain a time they calmed your rage.
I think that would be the Virgin. She has a very soothing presence and is able to see the good in things that I necessarily wouldn't see first. So she's usually able to come in and explain why things aren't as dire, aren't as important as I may think that they are. So she's always able to kind of bring me down.
Very good. And Witch, your sisters are not nearly as important as Power, but blank draws an evil to her. Explain what you have done to keep that evil at bay.
I think I view the Virgin as bringing evil to us, simply in that I really value our independence and our power that we have worked up until now. And I think the Virgin is just, a lot of people see her and she's so cute and they want to like spend time with her and they want to court her. And I've just always tried to, push that away.
Virgin, you trust your sisters for the most part, but blank often helps you play tricks on the others. Explain a time when she was an ally in your mischief.
Is it alright if I talk this one out?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. Because I'm kind of tempted to go with the witch again. I don't know if that's allowed to be one of the others. Because actually, no, I don't think that makes sense. Sorry, I'm sorry. Thanks. I'll go with the animus after all. So, I think there was a time where we did the classic bucket on top of the doorway, and did that to like a sibling or something that came by, or a suitor we particularly didn't like.
Oh my god, I love that idea.
Because I think the animus helps give me the confidence to do those pranks and not worry so much about how others will perceive me or how to reflect on us.
Yeah. Cool. I can see your little crinkly smile eyes that you talked about. And animus, you hold yourself apart from your sisters, but you are envious of blank. Explain why you can never compare to them.
I'm envious of the witch because though I am strong and self-assured and able to carry out what I want, the witch just seems so much more in control of her strength and her prowess, whereas I'm a little more on the side. So knowing that it's harder for me to control that side of me makes me envious of her and her ability to manage herself well.
Perfect. Okay. And with that, we have completed our wedding preparations. Just making sure everything is in the sheet. The next step would normally be to go through attributes and face moves, but those things we did before game. And so we are ready to be married. The wedding was a blur of celebration, lavish beyond your dreams of what a wedding could be. Bluebeard carefully observed your abilities in handling your duties at the event. He spoke to many people there that you did not know, walking you with him, but introducing you to none of them. He fed you sweets, brought you cups of wine. One by one, women came up to you. Congratulations. You must be so thrilled to have landed such a well-appointed husband. Behind your back, you could hear many of them saying that they were shocked that such a man would choose a girl like you. Your dress was beautiful and elegant, but you were self-conscious of the places you felt like it should be filled out more, should be filled out less. You hid your hands rough in the folds. At the end of the night, you climbed into a carriage with your new husband. He sat across from you in the carriage, stretched one arm across his seat, and just gazed at you. You opened your mouth to speak, but he said, "No, my wife. Let me enjoy this perfect moment." In silence, he watched you as the carriage plunged on faster in the dark. But now you see a glimmer of his estate in the sea of night. The fog and wind whip around the outside of the house as you pull up to the drive of an immense towering house. Even more decadent than you had been told, Bluebeard helps you down from the carriage and guides you to the house. As the door opens, he swoops you up and carries you over the threshold into the house. The servants leave the room to handle the carriage and the luggage, and he sets you delicately on a fine velvet settee. "My faithful wife," he said. He sits next to you. "I wish nothing more than that I could spend this night with you. But duty calls me away. Napoleon is on the move again, and it is crucial that I ensure that the ships are ready to leave first thing in the morning to take our troops to thwart him again. But, my precious love, you should make yourself at home. This is your home now." And he pulls out a ring of keys. "Here are the keys to our home. You may explore every room save but one. It is marked with my personal crest, two bees entwined together. It is opened with the smallest key. That, my love, is my private study, and you must promise me that you will not enter that room." He takes your hand and kisses it. "Do you promise me?" And of course you do. Bluebeard smiles, squeezes your hand, bows, and exits the house. You are alone in the entryway with a ring of keys. And now it is time to begin to explore the rooms. Okay, so just to give sort of an overview of this section of the game is played. The first thing is that we have this wedding ring, which I'm presuming is visible now. So it's right here. And the wedding ring is going to be given to one person to begin. And I already know that the wedding ring is going to the virgin.
I was afraid of that.
So in just a moment, I will be asking explain to me what key catches her eye, and that key will unlock a door. Inside that door, sounds like the Twilight, so that key will unlock a door. Inside that door will be horror and hauntings, and who knows what else. So how a bride responds to those horrors is limited by a set of moves, like in any Powered by the Apocalypse game. At any point, a sister can use what are called the ring moves, which are in here. So the ring moves are used, maiden moves. At any point, any sister can use the maiden moves. Those include caring for someone, investigating a mysterious object, or taking the stock of the room. The person who has the ring can use what are called the ring moves. Those are the 3 rolled moves, one of which is to caress a horror. The other is to dirty herself with violence. And the third is to cry out for help. The other things that the sister with the ring can do are to give up the ring or to shiver with fear. And shivering with fear is something that I can call out if somebody does, or you can call out on yourself, which just means that you have become incredibly scared by what is happening to the point that you have shivered with fear. Should one of these ring moves be executed, you then pass the ring to another sister who has not yet had the ring. The only way to leave a room is by one of 2 things. You can either leave the room by escaping the room, in exchange for which I will offer you a bargain, something that you will have to take in order to escape the room. It will involve paying a price. The other option is to propose a truth about the room. If you propose a truth about the room, you are basically saying what happened in this room, what the purpose and history of this room is. And depending on whether that is something that contributes to your faithfulness to your husband, you will get a token of faithfulness. Or if it's disloyal or distrustful of your husband, you will get a token of disloyalty. As we move through this house and collect these tokens from the room, you will gather those to your breast as you walk through the dark halls. And when you have 3, it will be time to visit the final room.
Oh.
Sorry, I just got a message from Jillian. Hey, you need to switch your Roll20 pages. This is true. Everybody move here. All right.
Oh, I see. I have the ring.
Pretty.
An old schoolery.
Yeah, so here's the ring and it moves around. So when you're ready, you should be able to move them, players. So when you are ready to move that ring to somebody else, you can just do that, or you can ask me to.
Okay.
Yes. And so now we are ready. Virgin,
Ready.
as you stand, feeling your heart beat in your chest, hearing your breath in your ears, you gaze at the ring of keys in your hand. What is the ring or the key that catches your eye?
I think this one has a rose at the top of it, and is covered in the vines on it, and it pricks you to hold it.
What do the teeth on the key look like?
I think the teeth are formed of the thorns on the vine.
Before you is a door. It's of more of a natural colored wood than the other doors that you've seen so far, just sort of this pale pine. And carved into it are kind of crudely fashioned roses and vine mingling together in the middle, like a closed space. And as you slip the key into the door and turn it, the roses that are carved come to life. They turn red and bloom vibrantly and begin to pulse across the door. You open the door and the room beckons. You step in and the door closes behind you. And we are at the top of the hour.
Oh no. Why have I doomed us all to?
We are going to take a short break to refill our water and catch our breath. And we will be back to see what our bride finds inside of her first. We'll see you then. Hello, welcome back to Fun Shots, Beard's Bride, where we are three sisters gathered together into one bride, exploring the home of our new husband, Bluebeard. And right before the break, we had just opened a door made of animated roses that has closed behind us. Sisters, the first thing that hits you is the light of this room. You know that when you came in dark, and yet the entire room just glistens with filtered sunlight. As you blink your eyes, you gaze up and see just a rainbow of colors coming through stained glass in what must be a huge solarium, taller than you think should be safe. There's a scent in the room, a scent of earth and of life, but also a scent of earth and of life, but also a scent of rot, a scent of something gone bad. The first thing that you notice as you look into the room is, of course, the gigantic grand piano carved with roses, set in the middle of the open area, surrounded by plants. The next thing that you notice is a huge garden of roses where the ground appears to have been broken, like the marble floor has been broken away and crumbled, and roses have just come up from underneath it. You also see a cello laid against a chair, sort of looking like the humidity has gotten to it just a touch. And then finally, you see a set of feathers cast into a corner. What do you do?
Can I investigate a mysterious object?
You may. What would you like to investigate?
I'm interested in the feathers.
Okay. You approach the feathers, and as you get closer to it, you notice that it is a fan. The handles of the fan are carved with the same sort of crude roses, but made in some kind of an ivory substance. And then the feathers that come out from it as you splay it are the colors fading from white into blush pink into red. Would you like to ask me 2 questions?
Sure.
I'll start with 1.
Okay. What memories does this item hold?
As you pick up the fan and stroke the soft feathers across your cheek, it feels warm and gentle, but it also whispers to you. You hear, "You are not beautiful like these things around you. You are flawed. Look at your flaws." And it's almost like every time the fan moves, the feathers brush together and whisper this thing.
Do I get to ask the second question now?
You do.
Okay. Whose item is this?
As you run your finger over it and look around, you get sort of an image of a postcard, a painting you had seen of dancers who dance with these fans. These big, beautiful fans that these women, not proper women like you, but other women would dance with to perform. And as you move the fan outward and just delicately twirl it with your hands, the fan says, "You're flawed. Look at your hands. Look at your coarse hands." And as you look down, you can see the calluses beginning to crack and bleed, and the blood drip down onto the fan.
I think the bride gasps and drops the fan out of shock over that.
Okay.
Only the person wearing the ring can
do a ring move.
Yeah, I know.
Anybody can do a maiden move.
So anyone can investigate. Or
Yeah.
Yes.
I wanted to kick the fan, is all I wanted to say. I think like even if I don't get control of the body, I think the witch is saying to the virgin, like, don't listen to that stupid object. We have those hands because the Animus has worked hard. Those aren't hands to be ashamed of.
I know, witch, I know. But there's secrets here. It might know something.
Yeah. I would like to take stock.
Okay. Always smart. So to take stock, you take stock of a tense situation and you can ask 1 question from the list.
What does this place demand of the bride?
This place demands perfection. You start to hear a faint dripping noise somewhere, like as if there's a leak, but it doesn't feel like there's humidity. You just sort of hear like the sound of something dripping in the distance. Maybe now that the fan is not whispering as loudly, but you can still hear just a vague whisper in the room. You're not good enough.
Can I investigate a different object?
You can.
The witch is still like, stupid fan. And I was like, let's go take a look at that cello. I'm sure that'll be nicer.
Okay, so you walk over. The cello is worn, but the strings are very glossy. A bow sits next to it, and there's a small stool that you can sit upon if you wish to play it. You may ask me questions.
I don't think we're sitting down yet. I think we're still just investigating it at the moment. We're kind of looking around at it closely, seeing if there's anything unusual about this one. And I want to ask, what memories does this item hold?
You reach out and you go touch the strings. And as your hands go over the strings, it feels so familiar, not sharp. Not sharp like regular strings, but soft and delicate. You hear the sound of music being played in the room, of string music being played, and you hear a wrong note, and you hear the sound of a crack of plant stem, and you hear, play it again.
I want to know, why did Bluebeard keep this item?
As you step back, sort of shocked from this voice that you heard and this vision that you have, a woman materializes in front of you, holding the cello. She is covered in some sort of an ink, and you can see that it's like notes moving over a page, like a piano of sheet music spinning past her. And she shakes with tension as she picks up the bow and says, "Yes, my lord, I will play for you again." And she begins to play the cello. As the cello plays, she brings her eyes up and looks straight at you, playing harder and harder on the string. And one of the strings snaps. She reaches her hand delicately towards you for your hair. What do you do?
I take a step. If I'm in control, we're taking a step back.
Well, I guess she can take the step back, but I'll probably carefully remove 4 hairs from my head and give it to her.
Very good. Are you caring for someone?
Would that be considered caring for someone? If that's considered caring for someone, then I guess I am.
I mean, what is your intent of handing her the hair? How do you...
I'm trying to help her. It seems like she wants something to replace the string that broke. And I'm also curious to see if that's what she'll do with it, or what purpose there is behind that.
The woman cocks her head to the side and opens her mouth, and out of it just comes sort of the sound of strings banging together. That sound like when you bang a bow on a violin, this cracking of noise. And she takes the hairs from you and wraps them together, uses them, pulls them, and they stretch out to the length of a cello string. And she puts them into the cello and begins to play, staring at you again. What do you do?
Okay. I guess I'd have the bride ask if there's anything else I can do for you.
As you ask her a question, she plays very hard across the strings, and a string snaps again. She looks at you angrily and begins to sob, and this sound of just like clashing, screeching noise comes out of her mouth as she looks at you with pain and stands back up and walks toward you again.
I'm taking a step back.
She continues walking towards you.
Can I take stock?
Yes.
What traps have been laid for the bride?
You are walking closer to the sound of dripping behind you, and as you look back, you can see the bed of roses undulating as it reaches for you.
Okay, so visually, so am I backing up towards the roses?
You're backing towards the roses with...
And the roses are reaching for me, and she's reaching for me as... Oh, no. Oh, gosh.
Are you shivering from fear?
I think I'm gonna try to go dart sideways, probably to my left. Try to make it back try to go around the lady and make it back towards the door.
Okay. You get to the door, and it does not open.
Oh.
The lady is still walking towards you. Are you trying to escape?
I guess I'll ask my sisters if we want to escape or propose a truce.
Oh. Would you like to pass the ring?
Okay. Sure, I'll pass the ring. This is spiraling out of my control.
Okay. Are you shivering from fear, or are you passing the ring? Because it kind of sounds like you're shivering from fear.
Okay, I guess I'll bite that bullet and shiver in fear.
All right. So when you shiver from fear, name the thing you are most afraid will happen. The groundskeeper will tell you how it's worse than you feared.
Oh, no.
You can keep the ring and choose 2, or pass the ring and choose 1.
Okay. I'll be passing the ring and choosing 1, but I know for sure I'll definitely be doing the... Okay. So I should probably describe what I'm afraid of first. Sorry.
Yes. What is something you are most afraid will happen in this moment as you're backing towards the roses and backing away from this cello woman?
Probably that the cello woman takes me and shoves me into the roses and I am buried in the earth.
All right. The cello woman comes towards you and reaches for your hair again, but her hands are stiff and heavy. And as she reaches for clumps of your hair, not a few strands. And as you walk back, the woman does not push you, but hands reach from the soil and pull you into the roses. 4 hands, delicate female hands, pull you down into the dirt above the roses. Choose 1.
I know which one I'm doing. It speaks to you. Take 1 trauma. Just you, sister.
A voice comes in your ear and it says, out there we have to be perfect. But I think you're perfect right here. It digs its fingers into you, and you realize that hands are covered in ants and tiny centipedes, and they bite into you. Take 1 trauma, which
Okay.
I will do for you.
Thank you. And if you wouldn't mind passing the ring to.
Who are you giving the ring to?
I imagine I'm giving it to the Animus because I know her to be strong and able to take charge of situations.
All right.
Yay! Thanks.
Animus, you have the ring. What do you do?
So we're in the flower bed.
You are in the flower bed. There are 4 female hands around you. And they're whispering, "You're perfect to us. Here, you are perfect."
I am going to try and break free, which I believe would be dirtying myself with violence.
Very well. Please make a roll.
Plus carnality. It's 2d6, correct?
Yeah, it's actually it's 2d6 with your modifier. If you go to character sheet, it's in your ability. You can just click under attributes and abilities.
Wait.
The character sheet, not the handout.
There you go.
First roll.
That was a 10. Yeah.
Very good. So when you dirty yourself with violence, you roll plus carnality. And on a hit, which this is, you inflict trauma as established and choose 1. You can either disable, silence, or mutilate. What do you do, Animus, and what does this look like?
I think I want to disable them. The words don't hold me as strongly as they physically do, so I want to disable the hands so that I can climb away and out of the bed. So I think it's more of just like a ripping of them off of that, the ones that are holding, just like ripping them away.
As you rip the hands off of you, your fingers sink into the flesh, and you can see holes in it with earth and earthworms underneath. But you manage to rip them free of yourself and stand up. You can hear cello music playing as the woman playing the cello has returned to her task. There are 2 bodies in the ground before you, intertwined. One looks very much like you, is dressed in a white dress. The other looks rougher and is dressed in simple clothes of a domestic servant. They are in an embrace, mostly buried in the dark, moist earth. The woman that looks like you in the white dress looks at you and says, "Why would you reject us? You'll never be perfect out there. Down here, we are perfect. She loves us perfectly." And she strokes the woman's hair, and as you see her fingers run through, you see beetles crawl over them from the hair and then disappear back down into it. What do you do?
I'm going just like, I don't need to be perfect. And back away towards where the woman is playing the cello.
Okay.
And then where is like the door out in relation to here? To like where?
So as you walk into the room, there's a piano in the middle of and then there's just beyond that, there was the cello. And then across from that over here on this side is the flower bed. And the door is behind you that
Okay.
way. So you were standing between these two things. There's a
Okay.
piano and then a door.
Right. I think and then, And the woman's just back playing the cello without really paying attention to us
Right
at this
now.
point.
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to start making my way towards the door. On the way to the door, I want to see if I can scoop up the fan and take it with me.
Yeah, I wanted that to happen.
Okay. Are you taking it as a token?
I am.
Would you like to propose a truth about this room?
I would like to do that. I think that one of Bluebeard's former brides may have had some kind of tryst or affair with a musician that worked in the manor, and when he found out, he killed them both for it.
That sounds like a token of disloyalty.
That is what it sounds like to me as well.
Very well.
So
as you approach the door, you clasp the fan in your hands. You can hear its whispering start to fade as you state what you believe happened here. And you hear the screeching of the strings, and you hear the begging of the soil to come join her. And you exit the room. Everybody takes 1 trauma.
Oh, okay.
Because that is what happens when you take a disloyalty.
sorry, y'all.
I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is. And I actually should have had you pick the ring because you executed a ring move. So who would you like to give the ring to now?
Oh, I passed the ring then?
Yes.
I will give it to the witch.
Very well. You come out of the room and close the door and clutch this fan and tuck it against your wedding dress. Catch your breath, shake it off. And you look at the keys in your hand. What key catches your eye?
I think it's a very light key, almost white, and it seems it's heavier than you would expect because it looks as if it was almost made of ribbon, and somehow it seems almost like someone has carved ribbons out of marble or something. It's very confusing but beautiful, and I think the teeth are actually almost like the ends of the ribbon coming up and curving, and sort of they have a look as if they're catching in the wind.
Beautiful. You find yourself in front of a door made of marble. The graining in the marble, as you look closer, looks like it's not even stone. It's like it, instead of kind of moving at a diagonal, like the graining sort of runs down it, making it look like it has sort of a constant melting. The keyhole is surrounded by a pattern of the sort of same tying ribbons that get more closely knotted as they move closer to the keyhole. As you put the key in the door and turn, there's a splashing sound, and you feel like you can almost see red spreading from the keyhole out through the ribbons. You open the door, and the room beckons. The door closes behind you. You are standing in a darker room, not glistening like it was in the conservatory, but in this one, there's a strange shimmering moonlight. The first thing that catches your eye is a pool in the middle of the room, a sunken Roman bath. The floor is slick under your feet. You feel yourself have to step carefully. The water, you can see shining, glistening treasures at the bottom of it. Surrounding it are a set of drains carved with the same ribbon pattern that comes loose at first and then closer together, almost like a hunk of ribbons on the floor that if you could pick it up would, turn to ribbons in your hand. There is a table on the far side of the bath, and there's bottles of oil set across the table. A woman sits naked, arranging all of the bottles on the table, dragging her toe back and forth across the water. She beckons you forward.
I think the witch kind of like cocks her head and looks at this woman and kind of like acknowledges her without word. And in her head, the witch is saying, for what it's worth, I think you did good in there, Animus, fighting off those monsters. But now our hands are all dirty, and so I'm gonna go over to the pool and wash our hands of the soil. And I'd like to sort of like look in as we do at you said there was like treasures in the bottom?
There's something glistening in the bottom.
Okay, so I think we're gonna go over and kind of like sit on the edge, wash our hands, and like look down at the treasures and kind of investigate that a little bit. Sort of staying to the opposite end of where the woman is.
Okay. As you glance into the water, you see... Well, do you want to ask, are you investigating an object? Do you want to ask me a question? Or do you want me to just tell you what you see on the bottom of the pool?
I think I'm looking in, and then I think I would want to know what about what we see and sort of what about this item is odd or uncanny.
What you see are a series of pieces of jewelry scattered across, not really in any sort of laid fashion. You can see them almost moving back and forth in the water with the tide, sort of fluctuating around. Rings, necklaces, bracelets. And what you notice that is uncanny about it is that all of them are broken at some point.
Broken things. Those aren't perfect. Maybe this room is nicer.
What do you do?
How far down are they? Like could I reach my arm in and grab?
It's a Roman bath, so it's probably just, you would, if you went all the way down like to the shoulder, but your dress is going to get wet for sure.
Maybe look around. Maybe we could use a ribbon to try and get them. Or maybe there's like a branch.
Yes, if we look around, is there anything? Also, have we washed the soil off our hands yet? Because they were so dirty. This is important.
So as you're doing this, the soil is off your hand, and you look at your hands, and you have this moment of sort of smug satisfaction that you have removed the soil from your hands. And then you look down and you see the soil stain on your dress. where you had been pulled into the dirt, and the wet dirt has rubbed into the expensive satin of your gown.
Well, is this... You said in the last room we saw someone wearing a wedding dress and it reminded us of us. Are we wearing our wedding dress?
You are.
Well, we were only supposed to wear it one time anyway, so I guess it's not that bad.
Your wreck the dress photo shoot.
Yeah. Maybe this is a sign that we should have a bath. We entered into the bathhouse. We are dirty.
But it's gonna be so heavy. It's gonna be a weighted dress. There's gonna be no way to move quick once you get this wet.
You're right. I take off the dress. I assume we have like a shift or like a slight under.
So it's, you move to start taking off the dress, and it's sort of a complicated process. You've got the jacket and the overdress and the secondary overdress, and you're and it's all tight. It's that Regency style where it's laced up in the back, and the woman who is on the other side of the pool says, "May I help you?" And she begins to walk toward you.
Yes, all right. You are here to help, I assume. That seems appropriate.
She walks towards...
Sorry.
she walks towards you, and you can smell. She smells amazing. Like she just smells like these essential oils, and then something underneath it that's like deep and primal. And she walks towards you with her, wet hair sort of covering her face, and she begins to very gently help you undress. And she doesn't touch you. She just touches your clothes. She's obviously very trained at this. She removes your jacket and folds it. She removes your dress and sets it over a chair. She gets you down to your shift and says, "Would you like me to wash you, milady?"
I think that is something. That sounds nice. The water was warm when we touched it, right? It was. Yeah. That sounds really nice. You smell lovely. Would you have some of those oils that you could put in the bath for?
I do. And she takes you and walks with you into the water, gently supporting you across the slippery floor. And as she walks you over, she pulls essential oils and waves them underneath your nose and pours them into the bath, all the time keeping her eyes cast down. You can occasionally feel these pieces of jewelry underneath your feet, but never sharp.
Now that I'm in the bath, would I be able to pick up one of them?
Yes.
Can we pick it up and investigate it?
Yes. You reach down, and your hand sort of goes across these things that the woman has her back turned. And your hand picks up a necklace and a ring and a bracelet. And you bring them up in front of you.
What memories do these items hold?
As you turn the necklace, it is a locket. And as you open the locket, inside you see two pictures. A picture of a man with a bright blue beard, and a picture of a young boy, probably about 4, dressed smartly.
Does Bluebeard have a son?
He's younger.
Why have we not? Does this appear to be does the photo look really old? Does it look?
It's a painting, so it's a small painting.
I think I'm gonna turn. Yeah, go for it. No, do it.
I would like to take stock.
I was thinking that too.
Okay.
What horror here is hidden from the bride?
As you glance around the floor that you're a bit closer to eye level with now that you're in the sunken pool, you see in the drain at one on the closest to the door, you see a chunk of auburn hair, and attached to it, you see skin still remaining.
Great.
That's in the drain of the bathtub?
No, on the drain of the room.
Okay. Oh.
As you take a pause looking over there, the woman comes closer to you and puts her hand in and turns you back towards her and says, "Just relax," and starts very gently washing the dirt off the rest of your arm. Very carefully scrubbing. You smell the essential oils coming up, and they're very relaxing. You smell that same sort of musty, primal scent, and she says, "Just relax." And you feel her sort of take control of the weight of your body. And you relax, and she says, "My goodness, you did get yourself quite dirty on your way here, my lady." And she begins to scrub the dirt from your shoulder. She picks up a brush and begins to scrub harder. What do you do?
I tell her that is quite enough, and I go to get up and start getting out of this bathtub, because I think we are sufficiently clean, and this servant is now acting out against us. So
She holds tight to you and scrubs harder and says, Now, we can't have that."
I am warning you, you work for me. You need to stop now. I'm done here.
Are you executing a move, or are you just trying to be commanding?
I'm just commanding for now. But I have
Okay, as you say this, she makes this very disapproving noise and brings her essential oil covered hand up towards your face and covers your mouth. She begins to scrub harder. You can feel the brush scratching into your chest. She begins to scrub down closer across your back.
I'm going to try and push her away. So at this point I am dirtying myself with violence,
Okay.
which I don't think I'm good at.
Make a roll. All right.
Whoop.
It's not bad.
It's
not
not
bad.
great.
I lost my page of ring moves. There we go. So when you dirty yourself with violence, you roll plus carnality. On a hit, you inflict a trauma as established, but on a 7 to 9, you choose one from below as well. Your vulnerability opens you up to trauma, or your carelessness leaves you in a bad state. Which of these do you choose?
Is the trauma just to me personally, or is it to our whole self?
You can choose to take it personal to yourself, or you can choose to share it with your sister.
I will admit that I was careless and put us in a bad spot.
Okay. So you strike out this woman to try to get away from her. And as you do, you shove her arm back. But then you are left in this bath. And as you start trying to, crawl your way away from her, you start to slip on the floor and you crash and plunge under the water. You are under the water, and it feels impossibly deeper than you thought it did when you were just standing in it, and you can't get your feet back underneath you. What to do?
I will. So I went to push away from her to get away, and I slipped and fell. I can't seem to get footing in this, and I recall that she seems very sure-footed in this water. And she sort of like helped us thing. So I'm gonna turn back and try and use her as a prop to stand back up. I'm going to, if this has to be something, I am caressing her, I guess. I am like holding on to her. I don't know. I'm not being violent at this moment.
You're just trying to regain your footing by grabbing.
I'm touching her to use her.
Well, it seems to me that if you swim over to her and grab onto her, that you would be able to pull yourself up, but her arms wrap back around you.
Damn it.
And into your hair. And she begins to scrub you harder, this time with an anger. You have to be clean, she says. And the scrub brushes scrape into the skin of your belly. You take 1 trauma.
Fair.
Would you like to take that trauma yourself or share it with your sister?
I would like to take that trauma myself. I would like to take it into myself. And am I at least like my head is above water at least now? I'm no longer
your head is above water.
Drowning, and she's just like scrubbing me painfully so. Yes. I'm going to put a hand on her face and say thank you for getting me so clean and for helping me to regain my footing again. I really appreciate this. Now, Now, if you, if you could take care of yourself now, that would be lovely. And I'm using the Viper.
Oh. Your move.
Do you want me to read it?
Yes, please.
When you care, so I'm attempting to care for her, and by doing so, poison her and make her choke on my words and die.
Okay.
Which seems reasonable in this moment.
So you put your hands up and you put them into her hair.
Mm-hmm.
And as you run your fingers through her hair and start telling her that you are clean enough, but she should look at herself.
Mm-hmm.
Look at how dirty you are. And she stops scrubbing you and she says, What? And she looks confused for a moment. But then as you talk more and more, her what begins to sound like a gargling and then a choking. And water begins to come out of her and run down the side of her mouth and down her neck. This essential oil smell comes off stronger and stronger, and she collapses into the water, choking, and then silence.
I would like to stand up on her corpse and use it to climb out of the bathtub, please.
You stand up out of the bathtub and you see her body floating in the pool, and you see this like oily slick, like that rainbow on water glistening in the water coming out from her and going and swirling around everything, around the brushes, around the jewelry. You are standing in a wedge shift to a bath. What do you do?
I have to admit, I perhaps did not make the best call here. Was there anything else you sisters wanted out of this room? I think
I kind of want to investigate her corpse, but now it's floating in the water. I don't know if that's her smart idea. Or at least go check out the bottles she was at earlier.
Would you like to investigate, Virgin? The bottles?
Yes, I would like to investigate the bottles.
Okay.
I would like to know whose item they are.
As you look at the bottles, one of them has a tag on it. It says, "To my faithful wife, in preparations for our wedding." They are clearly a gift given to a bride.
Do I remember them from the wedding?
Do you remember the bottles? You do not remember.
Okay. Would that count as my second question?
No.
Okay. I'll also ask, why did Bluebeard keep this item?
Bluebeard kept this item because he likes to come in here and smell them and remember the scent of the woman who wore them.
But what?
Do we still have? Did you hang on to the locket with the painting?
I thought I did.
Yeah.
Did I lose the locket, or do I still have it?
It can still be in your hand.
Yeah. I imagine we kept it.
Mhm.
Are you ready to propose a truth?
I'm trying to think of what I would propose exactly. I feel like certainly no good has happened here. I feel like that part is clear. I feel like
I guess like I felt like there was some good here, but I guess that's
Yeah.
the
Yeah, so I kind of did too. 'Cause-
It seemed like this almost seemed like the memory of like the wife before.
Mhm.
And it seemed like that she did care about him and he does think of her fondly.
All right, sisters, you have convinced me. So I'm taking the locket and I am proposing that while this servant was no good, and clearly there is some bad in this room, overall, it doesn't seem to show anything bad of our husband, who seemed to have given this lavish room to a former bride who, there were these jewelry, these gifts, and the beautiful smelling oils that he comes back and remembers fondly. So I think that's actually. I think this room was better than the last one.
All right. You walk out of the room clutching a locket, feeling in your heart that, well, maybe I was wrong. You tuck it in the fan under your arm. Wait, do you get dressed? I presume you put your clothes back on.
Yeah, I think we shake out the dress a little and put it on as best we can without a servant, since she's probably not gonna. She can't really help us anymore.
The way I see it is, I think we see the witch, being who she is, just turn her back on the pool and carefully brush as much dirt as she can off the dress, put it on herself, button everything together, and lift her head high and walk out of the room without ever looking back. And with that, we are at the top of the hour, and we are going to take a short break. When we come back, I think that the ring will move, and it will be somebody else's turn to describe a key, and we will see you then. Thank you very much. Welcome back to Fun Shot, Bluebeard's Bride, where we have just choked a made out in a bathtub rather than being killed by her with a scrub brush. So things are going well here. And we, because these sisters chose the key of the token of faithfulness, they actually each get to heal a trauma at this point. So that means that the Virgin and the Witch still have one, and the Animus is free of trauma. Do you feel,
For how long?
fully free of trauma?
Yeah, I feel wonderfully trauma free.
And we did make a small error. It turns out that when you execute a ring move, at the end of the ring move, you're supposed to pass the ring on to one of your sisters who has not had it yet. And so we are now starting off by handing the ring to the Animus.
Mhm.
So Animus, you have the ring.
Yeah.
You catch your breath, somewhat, feeling a little bit better, knowing that while that was awful and terrible, that not because of your husband is a man capable of loving memories. As you take a deep breath, you look down at the ring of keys in your hand, and one ring in particular catches your eye. Describe it to me.
So it's very, very fine. It almost looks like it's made out of like a very thin wire, like it's just so delicate. But it's intricately woven. The top is like this very delicate, like braided design up at the top, and it just extends down from there just in a very simple set of 3 teeth. But the whole thing, it looks as if when you touch it, it's just going to bend or break in your hand.
All right. In front of you is a door guarded on either side by antique suits of armor with halberds. The helmets are up, and you can tell that nothing is inside, which makes you much more comfortable as you approach the door. The door looks like a very utilitarian door, almost. It's a very, very rosy, dark wood that you approach it with heavy iron lock. But then as you come down to the keyhole, it gets shinier and shinier and shinier until there's this delicate keyhole surrounded on either side by a fencing foil. And your delicate key slides in like a fencing foil and turns this huge heavy door with the tiniest click, like 2 pieces of metal tapping gently against each other. The door swings open, and you walk inside. The door closes behind you. There's before you a room of practice, like some sort of an exercise room, not something that would normally be in your home. You see a set of rapiers across the wall, fencing rapiers, and a set of 2 masks set on the mats in the middle there. There are heavy chairs up against the wall, and there is also a painting that is covered in sort of a heavy canvas like you would make a fencing uniform out of. In the corners of the room are trophies, huge trophy cups, slightly tarnished. The room has a vague smell of sort of sweat and exertion, but not unpleasant and acrid, more a very healthy smell. The light coming into the room is not beautiful. The windows, as you look up, are smeared with sort of a dirt. And while some moonlight comes through the windows, it's mostly just kind of the vague flickering of gaslight. What do you do?
Judging or remembering our experiences in the past 2 rooms, the first thing I'm going to do is take one of the rapiers off of the wall and just kind of hold that. And I want to walk across to the painting that's got the canvas draped over it and pull the canvas down to see what's underneath it.
Okay.
I was hoping you were gonna slice it dramatically.
As you pick up the rapier, the first thing that you notice is that the pommel of it that's wrapped around is a set of hands joined together, one on top of the other, like a ring of hands clasping each other. And as you pick it up, one of them pricks your finger, and a small bead of blood appears on your hand. You wipe it away, and the small bead of blood appears again. As you walk across the room toward the painting, your feet sinks into the mat delicately. And as you get to the painting and pull it aside, you are confronted with an oil painting that's difficult to see. There's that aged patina of the painting, but what you can see is the figure of a man, the figure of a little boy, and a shadowed figure behind them.
I would like. Oops, sorry.
No, I was just gonna
Yeah, the locket,
say
right?
that the witch nudges the animus towards the locket. It's like, is it the same one? Is it the same little boy?
Yeah, does it look like?
It does not. This boy looks older, and this boy has dark hair. The other boy had auburn.
I would like to investigate a mysterious object, namely the painting. Now, I'll circle back around to the weird blood-sucking sword. What memories does this item hold?
As you look up at the painting, you notice that the frame of the painting itself is heavily carved in this very ornate pattern of animals sort of climbing over one another. And as you look down into the carving, you notice a small carving of a woman and a man and a child sitting around a picnic blanket in sort of a rococo clearing, eating a picnic outside in the sun.
Why did Bluebeard keep this item?
As you look back to the carving again, you notice that there is actually more than one image of this family together, and each of those are slightly polished, as if a finger had been trailed them and around them over and over again, wearing down the wood.
That's fine. Let's see. I think I'm gonna take a step back from the painting, and kind of just like, yeah, I'm gonna take a step back from the painting. Is my finger still bleeding from where the sword?
There is still a drop of blood on your hand. Way.
Yeah, I'm just gonna kind of lick it off and see if
Okay.
that stops it.
It appears to be better, and then the drop of blood appears back on your hand again.
This does not seem right.
No, it does not.
Can we investigate the sword? The foil? It's a foil, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Would you like to investigate the rapier?
Yes. I'm trying to figure out why our finger won't stop bleeding. We've been through a lot, and this is what does us in.
This is why you're creeped out.
Body leaking oil, fine, but blood not. But if blood drops, oh no.
Nope.
Well, it's just the fact that, like, I think we know well enough, like the Animus has said before, that we worked hard. We have hardworking hands. We know that we callus well. Typically, this is unusual.
So what would you like to ask about the sword?
I think sort of holding it up and looking at it. You said it had like thorns. Like, is that what pricked us, or what was it that?
The edge of the carving of the hand. You're not even quite sure. Just when something caught you and pricked you.
Okay, so then I think the logical question is, what about this item is odd or uncanny? Like, I'm looking for what did us in here. Like,
as you examine the sword, you look closer at it and you realize that there's a bit of moisture sort of accumulating on the top of the blade that sort of runs down the blade and drops. It's not blood, though. It's clear. As you put your finger down and touch it and rub your fingers together, it feels just like water. And as you tap it to your tongue, it's salty.
Tears, maybe?
Much like
sweat.
tears.
I was thinking sweat.
I was totally thinking
More like sweat.
Tears might be a little more savory.
I was totally thinking tears. Like, all right. So this sword is crying and stealing our blood. It's a little odd. What memories does this object hold?
As you look at the sword, you notice that the tip of the sword is very worn. Not as if it has been used to hit its target a lot, but as if it's been scraped on something other than fabric. And as you turn around to the heavy chairs behind you, you see a spot that's worn in the floor, as if the tip of the sword had been rubbed back and forth by somebody who sat in the chair watching practice happen on the mat.
Can we walk over to that spot and like put the sword down like in the spot that we see the wear?
Yes. It fits perfectly. And you start to hear sounds behind you on the mat.
Of course.
It sounds like a clattering and a clanging, but more like a rustling, not like something's moving towards you, but just like something's moving around on the mat. Do you turn around?
Yes.
As you turn around, you lose your balance slightly, and you fall into this chair. The chair closes around the one wrist that is not holding the sword, and the other one that holds the sword in place on the spot. And in front of you, you see two ghostly figures rise and come towards you, assembling all of this fencing armor on top of them. One of them is smaller, almost like a young boy, maybe the age of the one in the painting. The other one is disfigured, almost like instead of being a form, like a human form, it's just these sort of grossly mutated bones spun into smoke. And as they get their armor on, they joyfully turn around each other, playing at first, tapping back and forth with the sword. You can't really hear like language. You can hear a higher young male voice sort of tittering and a deeper male voice coming from your form, instructing. They dance back and forth for you. And then, almost by luck, you're sure, because he's quite clumsy, the small boy lands a hit on the larger figure. The figure of the boy laughs and claps its hand. And the larger figure takes his rapier, snaps it in half, and stabs it through the form of the boy, who disappears. You are struck by grief. What do you do?
I'm gonna like pull my arm on the wrist that's restrained. Is it like tight?
Yes.
Okay. I am going to cry out for help.
Okay.
No surprising.
So that's, what is that? That's resilient.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Let's see.
A 9. So when you cry out for help, you roll plus resistance. On a hit, a house servant comes to address your concerns and calm your hysteria. But on a 7 to 9, they help you. But first, they need proof of your loyalty to Bluebeard. So in this chair, you begin crying out for help. And as you sit there crying and screaming, as this dark form is moving closer and closer to you from the mat with this broken rapier in its hand, the door flies open, and a man is standing there, and the large ghostly figure disappears. Mistress, I heard you crying. How did you get yourself here?
I don't know. I just came in and then, oh, it was horrible. There's ghosts, or I'm not sure, but I just need help. I seem to be stuck here.
Well, ma'am, ghosts, please. I understand. It's been a trying day, your wedding night in a new home. But the house is full of creakings, of course, but sure not ghosts. How did you end up locked to this chair? You're not waiting for somebody here. What is your intent on calling someone to this place after you've manacled yourself to a chair?
I am the mistress of this house, and I was doing as my husband bade me and exploring my new home, and I seem to have gotten myself into a predicament, not of my own doing, and I don't appreciate being questioned. I simply need help being released so I can go about my way.
Well, if our Lord told you for the rooms, I can understand how things that are more dangerous than that. It's just simply a switch back here. He reaches around the chair and you hear a click and your hand releases.
Well,
Now, can I help you find something, ma'am?
As a matter of fact, yes, I seem to have cut my hand and I need some kind of dressing for the wound. It doesn't appear to, it won't stop bleeding.
Oh, allow me to help you. Takes you over and he tears a piece of canvas from the fabric that was covering the painting, and he sort of strokes your hand very gently, turns it over, runs his fingers over the calluses. Very rough hands. I'm surprised you were able to cut them on something. He wraps the finger that was blood pretty tight, pulls it tight, takes the sword from you and says, now maybe we should leave these things alone, don't you think? And hangs it on the wall.
Yes, I suppose so. Thank you for your assistance.
He looks up at the painting and says, ma'am, would you like me to cover the painting again? Or did you wish to return the painting to the room?
I'm sorry?
The painting. It was covered when you came in, was it not?
Yes, the covering fell.
Oh. He picks up the canvas, goes, oh, there's no need to be dredging up this kind of history. Tosses it over the top. And he says, will there be anything else, ma'am?
No, I don't believe so. You may go.
Very well. He bows and says, perhaps you should stay away from sharp things. I will be sure to let your master know that, maybe if he's going to have you explore, he should give you more parameters and guidance. He
Yes.
turns, walks out the door, and closes it behind him.
Jerk. So that means the ring gets passed.
Yes.
So I think the Virgin can have it now.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay.
Gonna take a little nap in my head. Bye.
Whoa.
That servant was lucky I wasn't the one currently.
I saw you. You were ready to choke. Okay.
Gonna do another murder.
This one deserved it even more. The other one physically harmed us, but this one.
Usually women, I feel like you're just wandering around alone. I can see that being a little sketch, but was there like a tapestry hanging in the room? Was that described?
No, there's a painting that was covered in a.
Okay.
There were 2 fencing masks on a table. The series of rapiers and the heavy chairs.
Okay. Well, I want to investigate the chairs we were just sitting on.
Okay.
What about this item is odd or uncanny?
You mean aside from when you sit in it, it causes.
I just realized that was a
happened.
hard question to ask in light of what just happened.
No. Let's see. I'll come up with more. As you examine the chair and run your hands over it, you realize that there's more. There's more than one chair. There's 4 of them, and they have wear marks from where the hands have sat at the edge of the arms of the chair, but they're at different stations consistently throughout, as if people with the same size hands have sat over and over in the same chair.
That's a little unnerving. What memories does this item hold? Like the 4 chairs, like
As you walk to the last chair and touch it, a bit of the witch ignites in your heart, and you have a vision of a woman walking in and seeing a fourth chair being put into place. And you hear a voice say, have a seat, my dear. Watch us play.
Oh no, I don't like that. Oh goodness. I'll take stop. What does this place demand from the bride?
This place demands the bride's acceptance of her own grief.
There was loss in this room. But what else? We saw a young boy be murdered. What came of it? And who was he to Bluebeard? Another secret son?
That was my suspicion. I do not like my suspicions about this room.
We had heard he had previous brides, but not previous children. We have seen naught of either.
He may have the wealth to keep that covered up. I think there's a reason the campus is covered when you entered the room. You do not hide what you are proud of, unless you don't want others to see it.
Yeah.
Can I investigate the mat?
You can.
Why did Bluebeard keep this item?
As you walk across the mat, it looks very well worn. And you get the sense that it is used regularly, that it is something that that is walked across all the time. You see recent scuffs on it that are clearly new, where you can see just a little bit of pooling of the canvas. You believe that he probably uses it for practice.
What memories does this item hold?
You look at one indentation and see a little bit of long, dark hair sort of stuck into the mat. And you get a vision of a woman tickling her child and her child laughing. And they banter back and forth. And he says, "When will Daddy be home?" And she looks wide-eyed to the door and says, "Soon."
Is that wide-eyed with worry or wide-eyed with interest? Or are we...
You just see her eyes wide and her pupils dilated.
I know what my suspicions about this room are.
Would you like to propose a truth?
I feel like I keep wanting to consult my sisters on this, but I think that's not quite how this game goes.
You can definitely discuss your ideas amongst yourself, but whoever has the ring is the final say.
Okay. Because what I would propose would end up causing another trauma to us all. because I do not think this is a good room. I believe that Bluebeard killed that child over the fencing duel that we saw. And the mother had to see that.
I agree, and I think that you warn us of trauma because you are kind-hearted and you want to let us know, but truth is more important, and I think you've found the truth of it here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess that will be my truth.
You take a second token of disloyalty, and each of you takes 1 trauma.
Worth it.
What are you taking from the room as your token to join your locket and the fan?
Unfortunately, that painting is too big. I'm tempted. Oh no, that'll. I'm tempted to cut out the part of the painting that was the family.
Ooh.
Oh, the carving. So that's carved on the side.
Oh,
the one of them
carved. Okay,
But I will, if you reach up, I will allow you to break it free. It's just like a plaster painting.
Okay, I will break it free then.
Cool.
Very well. And so, bride, you take your plaster carving of the family happy at the picnic, your locket, and your fan, and you exit the room. And you are once again in the hallway.
Mm-hmm. I think I will give the ring to the witch.
Very well. All right. Witch, you are standing in the hallway, these items in your hand. You pull out the ring of keys, noticing your beautiful wedding ring on your finger. And then, away from the glistening, your eyes are immediately pulled to 1 key. Describe that key to me.
I think in contrast to the bright lightness of our ring, we see sort of a darker key, and it's thin but long, and the part that connects it to the key ring at the back almost looks like a cage. Kind of like a rounded ornate decorative bird cage almost, and the length comes out and the teeth almost turn into talons at the end.
That's cool.
You are not sure. You suddenly notice that in leaving the room, you're in a different hallway than the room you went into the room in, as if the house itself is moving you through the house. And instead, you were much higher up on a hallway with stairs. And at the end of the stairs is a door. And the door is marked with cages and carved beasts inside of it, harpies in each one. And set into this dark door, across the top of it, are jewels sparkling like stars. And drawn between the stars are delicate constellations. And as you put the key into the door and turn it and hear a click, the constellations flicker like electricity has shot across them. You open the door and the room beckons. It closes behind you. Before you is a round room made of polished black stone. As you look up, there are openings in the in the ceiling through which you can see the sky. And the stars are like you've never supernovas and clashing celestial clouds. In the middle of the room, there is a telescope pointed at the and at the side of the room is a desk with a book on it and a pen that is set to the side of the book. There's also a metal, I don't know what they call them, a metal sort of celestial map, 3D celestial map where you have all the different planets. And it is rocking, thank you, Dylan, an astrolabe.
I literally was looking that up because I was like, I'm pretty sure it's astrolabe.
It is sort of rocking back and forth with the change in the room. And then, and that's it. This is refreshing. You've been in a lot of very dark, heavy rooms, and the cold air from outside feels good on your skin. You feel almost a sense of freedom in this space, but also the narrowness of the round room makes you feel constricted.
I think we have been, I think the witch like breathes in for a second. You said like it's kind of open up to the sky, and like you said, we've been like lower down. This is the first time we're a little bit higher up. And the chance to see the stars, I don't think we've ever had a chance to see them like this. So I think the witch is approaching the telescope.
All right. So you approach the telescope, and it's this gigantic sort of brass, you assume, object. Definitely the same sort of glistening color. And it has a small eye hole that you can look through that comes up from it. There are symbols maybe carved into the metal on the outside.
I think the witch kind of like runs her hand along where the symbols are.
Okay.
And like is thinking, go ahead.
Go ahead.
And is thinking she wants to look at those, but I think she's just still immediately drawn to like wanting to look into the telescope.
Okay. Your hand sort of traipses over the thing, and you can feel these little scratches in it. You're still not sure if they're scratches or carvings. And as your eye comes down to the viewfinder, you don't see anything at first.
Okay. If I can't see anything, then I'll step back, be like, this is more complicated than I thought. Whose item is this?
As you sort of return to looking at these carvings on this on this telescope, you see a plate that says, "My secret place."
Would we recognize if it was Bluebeard's handwriting?
It is not his handwriting. It's definitely flowery.
Interesting, sisters. Another room in his house that doesn't seem to belong to him. What memories does this item hold?
You run your hands back over it again, sort of tune into your witchy senses, and you get a feeling at first of excitement, of discovery, of that feeling like when you're studying a new ritual and it's coming together just perfectly. And then you get a feeling of it not being completed. And then you get a feeling of the frustration. And you hear the voice of a woman saying, I've tried it all. Why won't it work?
Can I take stock, please?
Yes, you may.
What horror here is hidden from the bride?
Oh no.
What are you talking about? It's such a cool room that some awesome science lady was in.
I mean,
think
yeah,
it's
but this
crazy,
place,
though.
but this place is horrible.
Yeah, no, that part's true.
One good room does not an okay house make.
Does not unhaunt this house.
Yeah.
You notice that the floor around the telescope, that there's a patterning scratched into the floor. And especially because the witch has the ring, you note that there is some sort of arcane symbol that is carved into this space on the floor as it goes around. And you get the feeling of entrapment again. Like maybe this could trap you, or maybe something harmful could come from this towards you.
What do you think, sisters? Should we look at something? I think taking a few steps, like trying to avoid, now that the animus has noticed this, like, it seems like an arcane trap.
Let's try to stay out of reach of whatever those sigils are.
Yes.
That would be wise.
Perhaps there are answers in the book.
Ooh.
Maybe the symbols are written down there.
Only one way to find out.
The bride walks carefully and steps over, and then the other foot over the ring on the sort of shakes off any sort of fear of being trapped in this place and walks over to the desk. She picks up the book and opens it. And inside, you see the same thing. My secret place. In the same handwriting. As you turn the pages, it's a science journal. Somebody's recordings. Would you like to investigate further?
You have the ring.
I know, but this is a maiden
we all
move.
can do
Yeah,
investigation.
Oh,
anyone
that's
can
fair.
do a maiden move.
I
I investigated the telescope.
guess I'll investigate.
All right.
I want to know whose item this is.
As you flip the book over and over and you come towards the back page and you see a woman with dark hair. Her hair is set up very nicely on the top of her head. And she has around her neck a beautiful set of jewelry that is marked with constellations of the stars. And her hand is on her shoulder, and you see a ring of an arcane symbol on one finger, and on the other finger, a wedding ring.
Is it the same symbol?
It is one of the symbols that is on the floor.
Okay. I look at the carving I took from the last room. Is it the same woman or a new one?
It is a different woman.
Mm.
Of course it is.
What about this item is odd or uncanny?
As you start flipping through the pages, you can see the sort of handwriting go from very controlled and very well paced and very delicate. The charts are very precise, and as it goes further and further in, you get to this very frantic kind of scrawled things. The charts are no longer charts. They're just sketches, really. And towards the end, it goes from cursive to just being this like barely legible printing. And as you squint your eyes at the page, you read, "He doesn't want me to keep working. He complains that I'm not a good wife and has threatened to take all my precious artifacts from me. I've got to escape him. But how? I cannot leave my research behind here. Tonight I'll call upon the powers of... They will help me, but they will ask me for a price, a soul. I think, dear reader, I will take yours."
This is fine.
No, it's not.
You start to hear a rumbling in the... And that circle starts to darken. And coming out of the... are sort of dark, shadowy, like the same form as the fencers. These tendrils that come into these tentacles and start reaching toward you as you slam the book closed on the deck. And we are at the top of the hour. And we are going to take our last break there. So, friends, we are going to catch our breath, and we are going to refill water, and we suggest you do the same. And we will see you back here in about 5 more minutes to find out what our bride does about the horror before her. See you then. Hello, and welcome back to Fun Shots Bluebeard's Bride. We are in a room at the top of the stairs that is round and feels a little bit like it's pressing in around us. And we have just read a rather disturbing entry in somebody's journal saying that they are trying to escape and that they need our soul to do so. And then a set of ghostly tentacles began climbing out of this ring around the telescope and reaching towards us. As the bride slams the book down the table and the tentacles start spiraling together, they reach out and throw themselves at the bride impossibly fast, like a whip. And it wraps around your waist and starts pulling you forward, which you need to take 1 trauma.
Okie doke.
Would you like to take the trauma on your own or share it with your sister?
I would like to take it.
You are being drug into the desk and pulled on top of the desk. What do you do?
I would like to try and like reach out with one hand and sort of like push against the desk to stop myself from like going any further. My hand might even be kind of like looking for the book. And the other hand is kind of touching the tentacle, you said? The tentacle around my waist. And I'm going to try and, I'm going to say, clearly you already have a connection with this woman. You want her soul, not ours. And I'm trying to caress it and convince it to take someone else, which is...
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Please make a roll.
Okay. So I'm literally stroking the tentacle.
Oh no.
So it's come to this.
Very nice.
I want a gif of that.
You have your hand on the book, And then your other hand, you start stroking the tentacle, leaning back, but not struggling. And as you start talking about this woman with whom it has a connection, it begins to stop pulling, and you feel yourself able to pull slightly away. The tentacle loosens its grip on you, but does not quite let go. The other tentacles began to move out from the hole and go across the floor and up the desk around you. And you have a moment of fear as if they're all going to come from you. But then they join and twist together. And as they twist together, they rise from the desk.
Oh.
And your eyes look up, and there is the form of a ghostly woman hanging by her neck from the rafter above you. And the tentacles reach up and wrap around her feet and yank her down. And this rope snaps, and her ghostly hands go to her throat, and she pulls it away, and she says, "No, I just wanted to get free. I just wanted to get free." And she reaches for you. And as the tentacle let go, her hand reaches on your arm, and she looks up into your face and says, "I just wanted to be free." And as they drag her under into the darkness, the tentacles come up her neck, and the last word out of her mouth is, "Run." The tentacles slowly sink back into the ground, and you notice a glimmering in the arcane symbols, and then nothing. You are standing in a silent, round room. What do you do?
Because I made a move.
You need to pass the ring.
Please give it to the Animus.
I know, I was like,
Let's go. I'm ready.
I've done what I can. I think we need your strength right now, and I'm passing the ring
I got
to
you.
the Animus.
Right.
I am scooping up the book, and I am making towards the door. And
All right. Would you like to declare a truth?
Yes, I would.
Oh.
I would like to declare that Bluebeard had an awesome science wife, and then he got jealous because she was awesome in sciencey, and he tried to make her give up her studies, and in order to not have to give up what she cared about, she killed herself. And that is a token of disloyalty.
Okay. My question was going to be, did she kill herself, or did she kill herself because he was cruel?
Yeah, I think.
There we go.
Yep.
So you grab the book and you clutch the book to your chest. And you look at these tokens in your hand. A fan, a book, a family, a locket. And as you exit the room, you look down, and there is only one key that catches your eye. The smallest key. And before you is a small door marked with Bluebeard's seal. You turn the key and open the door. Inside, the whole room is hung with roses. The first thing that hits you is just that smell of dried, hot roses, like nothing else you've ever smelled before, as if someone had gathered every rose you had ever grown and hung it from the ceiling. But as your foot hits the floor, the bones of rats crunch underneath it. and you have a moment where you think back to the rat he killed in the garden. And then as you step forward with one more crunch, your eyes go up and you see before you the beheaded bodies of women hanging, tied in with the roses. You know he's coming. And you turn and take the advice that you had been given, and you run. Now, bride, you have a decision to make. Do you take your token and present your evidence to the town? Or do you run away from the place and start anew?
I'm for running and starting anew.
But what if he finds us when we run away?
Well, the townspeople
If
put us
we
in.
go to the town, we might have a chance of staying.
What if they don't believe our truth? What if they hold us until he returns?
Which? What do you think?
I miss the town and our home and our secret places just for us. I think we should try there.
I think so as well.
Are we decided? Very well. You run. You don't even look back. You just run, wedding dress asunder. As you get down the road, you eventually find the sun is breaking the horizon, a farmer heading into town to sell wares, and you catch a ride on the back of his boat. And your body relaxes. It's over. You make it home. And now, witch, let's begin with you. What did the town do to rid themselves of the bride's disloyal raving?
I think that they just paint it as she was always crazy. She was never deserving of that life, of that. She obviously didn't appreciate it. She obviously didn't. So yeah, I think they just all sort of write her off and say this is her own fault and her own doing and how ungrateful she is.
Virgin, how did Bluebeard blackmail the bride's family into silence?
He threatened bankruptcy. He threatened the father with taking away his lands, whatever dignity he had left in being honest.
And so you live in a town where the people, in a family that is afraid of your being back, but that can do nothing to heal your trauma without losing. And as time goes by, a year passes. Animus, what loving gift does Bluebeard send the bride for their wedding anniversary?
Oh God. Um I can go so bad, and I don't want to go so bad.
Do it.
Oh. All right, yep, I'm doing it. Oh, so he sends her a box, and in the box, and on top on a tag, it says, "Because I can no longer have your hand, someone else's," and it's the hand of her sister. The left hand, obviously.
Of course.
Oh.
Does your family maintain their silence even now that your sister is gone?
Yes.
What new room in Bluebeard's house haunts the bride's dreams every night?
I think the bride imagines not succeeding at fighting off the demon, fighting off those tentacles, and imagines being pulled into that circle and almost like turned upside down and dropped the other way, with demons still clawing at her from above, in like a dark, lonely room with no doors.
Can you tell me a couple more things that are in this dark, lonely room?
I think there's no doors, no windows, and it's almost like a flip of the last one. Maybe there's even some like maybe some parchment, some pages of the book came through and the pen fell through. So there's like those are scattered around, and I think the bride sort of has nightmares about being stuck in this room with the tentacles always grasping at her and just having nothing but these pages to write her fears on. And it's just like large, like almost like a jail cell, like but just large cinder blocks. And she has pressed every single one of them looking for a way out and can't find it.
In Virgin, how does the bride make herself at home in that perfect new room?
Wait, the room that the witch just described? Oh! What is it? Man. Goodness. I guess she sings the songs, sing to her siblings to help lull them to sleep.
And they sleep peacefully nearby you as you stay within the room. And that is the end of our tale. Wow, you guys.
Such a good game!
It's such a good game! Play this game, y'all.
Yeah, seriously. What a fantastic game.
So good. Thank you so much for running it. It was
Thank
so
you.
good. You did
Oh, so
Thank
You-
you for
you were
playing.
amazing.
thank you,
Wow.
Dylan, for hosting.
Yes.
Thank you, Dylan. Thanks everyone who was hanging out. Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
Okay, so that was a crazy ride. You guys all did so great. I mean, it's
thank you.
so fantastic. And I mean, Kirby, wow, what a rough game to play for your first online stream, and you just did fantastic.
I was with lovely, supportive people, which I'm sure made a difference. So, thank you.
Okay, well, we have come to the end of the Bride's Tale, but we as people get to move on. So let us do some outros. So we'll go around. You can tell everyone who you are, maybe what the moment of the game that was most chilling for you was, and then where else we can find you and what projects you are involved in. So we'll go backwards from where we did intros. So Kirby, I think that starts with you.
Okay, so great. I'm already blanking. I know that this was my first one, but I'll be coming back with fun shots again because I'll be part of the Ryutama campaign that the couple ago. Yay! And I'm sure that's gonna be more happy than this, but Little Cup of Joe's running, so that's Jessica Little Cup. You can find her on Twitter there. You can find me on Twitter at Red Rambling as mentioned earlier. So I am rambling a lot, sorry. But yeah, so I'll be doing that, and I'm looking forward to that. And what else was there I was supposed to go?
Just who you are, where people can find you, and of the game. Particularly chilling.
Okay. Probably the most chilling. It's kind of funny because the most chilling moment isn't the moment that stands out the most to me. Because the moment that stands out the most to me was back in the first room when the Animus was fighting off the two lovers or whatever that we found there, because they were saying you can be here, you can be perfect, and that kind of struck a personal chord with me. And then just to hear the Animus be like, no, I don't need to be perfect, it's that just really resonated with me. It's wow, I did not even consider that as an option, kind of. So yeah,
that's really wonderful. Yeah, it's amazing how really dark games can sometimes have these moments of hope that you just kind of
yeah.
All right, Megan, who are you? Where can we find you? What are you up to? What was very chilling about this game for you?
All right. Hi, I'm Megan. You can find me most anywhere, mostly on Twitter at Megan Lynn Win, where I ramble. You can find me every Monday at 6 Eastern. I am on Encounter RP playing their Ravnica D&D stream. You can find me every other Saturday on Jess's channel, twitch.tv/go_JG, playing Spire. And I will be back in August for another fun shot playing Kindest Regards. So I'm very excited about all of those good things. My most chilling moment, I think it was the moment when the witch was just like, yeah, we're just gonna go in this bath, it's totally fine. I'm like, no. But I was just as soon as that happened, I'm like, yeah, this is gonna break bad real soon.
Awesome. And Jess.
Oh, hi. I'm Jess / the witch who has good plans, you guys. This game is awesome. Thank you so much for running it. This was such a great group. It was so much fun. I need this game more. I've already played. This is my third time playing it. No, my second time playing it. I ran it once. It's so good. I want more of it. But I'm Echo_JG in most places on Twitch and Twitter. I stream video games. I'm going to be doing WoW later, doing Borderlands with my good friend Slayer tomorrow, do the Critical Reroll podcast. We, as Megan said, we do Spire every other week. We have a little mini series of Fall of Magic, which is a really cool TTRPG, which you follow a sort of scrolling map that we're doing right now. And then coming up in June, we are going to have a little bit of everything, some Fiasco, some Tales from the Loop. Gonna try and fit in my own game that I wrote last month, just wrote a game. Did that for the first time ever.
It's a really good game. It's a really good game, y'all.
Thank you. Megan is one of the few people who has played it.
And that's really good.
But yeah, so check me out in those places so we can hang out and play games. And I think one of my favorite things, one of like the chill, like it was just like a bit of a turn for me, was that I thought we were meeting wicked ass Science Wife, and I was so excited to be pals with Science Wife. Then she turned on us. She wanted to take our soul. I was not expecting that one. I was like, damn it. Thought we had a friend in this.
Yeah.
There are no friends.
There are no friends in this house.
They're temporary friends, I guess.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, hello. My name is Janaya, and I make art and play good games with nice people. You can find me anywhere at Janaya. My Twitch channel, I mostly talk about art there and sometimes run art streams. You can also find me this Wednesday on Encounter Roleplay, where I'll be playing in Nomadics, Things from the Flood game, Little Busters. And then I don't actually know where I am. I have some things on my calendar, but not enough times yet, so whatever. The other thing that you can find is if you looked at me running the scary game and said, wow, I'd sure like to play a scary game with Janaya, signups are open right now on Katie's channel at Katie Faze for her Summer of Spooks, and I am going to be running a game called Sins of the Father by Third Eye Games there, which is a game of demonic debt where you are indebted to a demon, and it's played entirely with a deck of cards mechanic where the deck can literally be stacked against you. So that's me. You have been watching Fun Shots on Dylan's channel. There are more upcoming Fun Shots that you can look for, but tomorrow you can tune back in at 6 p.m. Pacific for Legends of Mahoria, or as it's more commonly known, Ryu Drama. Probably the best opportunity to watch sad boys hurt each other's feelings in a wonderful anime setting. This channel, twitch.tv/Anaris, is sponsored by Dylan's Blood, Sweat, and Tears. I suggest you support him by either subscribing here or by going to his Patreon. I subscribe to his Patreon, and for his Patreon, I'll chip in, and as goals are met, content is released to the entire RPG community use. So support him there, because that's rad, and we all need more play materials. And that is it. That is our stream. So thank you for joining us for our spooky, traumatizing tale. Go forth, have courage, be kind, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Bye.